Today, we will explore a very fundamental topic in Buddhism, which is morality, concentration, wisdom. These are three major disciplines and also three very important steps on the path of practice. In short, morality helps life to be upright and pure. Concentration helps the mind to be peaceful and stable. Wisdom helps us see the truth correctly, thereby overcoming delusion and suffering. These three parts are inseparable. Morality is the foundation. Concentration is the stability of the mind. Wisdom is the light that illuminates the path. With morality, concentration easily arises. With concentration, wisdom easily manifests. With wisdom, morality becomes even deeper and firmer. Therefore, those who study Buddhism cannot focus on one aspect while neglecting the other two. First, let us talk about morality. Many people, when they hear the word morality, immediately think of prohibitions. Actually, understanding it that way is somewhat narrow. Precepts are not just about forbidding this or that. Precepts are primarily a method to protect the body and mind, helping one live with moderation, clarity, and responsibility towards oneself and others. For example, lay Buddhists often observe 5 precepts: not killing, not stealing, not committing sexual misconduct, not lying, and not drinking alcohol or using intoxicating substances. At a superficial glance, these may seem like 5 prohibitions. But looking deeper, we see that these 5 precepts are 5 principles that help protect individuals and society. Not killing nurtures compassion and avoids harming life. Not stealing respects the property, effort, and rights of others. Not committing sexual misconduct maintains fidelity, responsibility, and dignity in relationships. Not lying is maintaining truthfulness, creating trust in life. Not drinking alcohol and using intoxicating substances is protecting the clarity of the mind. Thus, keeping precepts is not to be loved more by the Buddha, nor to be praised as moral. Keeping precepts is to protect oneself from actions that cause suffering, and also to avoid causing suffering to others. Let's take a look back at daily life. Much suffering arises not because of something too big, but because people fail to maintain it. A careless word can break family bonds. A greedy thought can lead to wrongful actions. A moment of anger can leave long-lasting consequences. A habit of indulgence can ruin an entire life. Therefore, precepts are a protective fence, but calling them just a fence is not enough. Precepts are also fertile ground for merit to grow. Those who live by precepts have less mental anguish, less fear, and less disturbance. And when the mind is less disturbed, it is easier to enter concentration. Here, there is a very important point. Keeping precepts is not just about formality, but must be done with understanding and mindfulness. If one only reluctantly follows them with inner resistance, then the precepts have not truly permeated life. But if one understands the meaning of precepts and clearly sees their benefits, then keeping precepts becomes a natural practice. For example, not lying does not just mean not speaking falsehoods. More deeply, it is the practice of living sincerely, living responsibly with one's words. Not killing is not only about not taking life, but also about nurturing a kind heart, avoiding hurting others, through attitude, speech, or behavior. Thus, precepts are not only about external actions, they also relate to the inner mind. A practitioner should not only focus on correcting the hands and mouth, but must also correct the mind, because it is from the mind that words and actions arise. In Buddhism, people often say, precepts, concentration, and wisdom. Why is that? Because when one lives uprightly, without doing wrong, the mind becomes lighter, and a light mind is easier to be at peace. On the contrary, if one lives indulgently and makes many mistakes, when sitting still, all the old troubles come back and cause unrest. Therefore, some people want to meditate for a peaceful mind, but their daily life is very lacking in moderation. That makes it difficult. The mind cannot be peaceful just by willpower. A peaceful mind is the result of a life with a solid foundation. We also need to understand that precepts are not something rigid or dry. Precepts are an expression of love and wisdom. A person who knows how to keep precepts is someone who loves themselves, loves others, values life, values character, and values the path they are on. If someone says that practicing only requires a good heart and does not need to keep precepts, that is not enough. A good heart without clear living principles can easily be swept away when facing strong circumstances. People often do not fall because of big things, but fall because of things they underestimate. Therefore, the first step on the path of practice is to self-regulate one's life. Live with moderation, speak responsibly, act with conscience. Know when to stop before doing wrong. Know how to guard oneself against temptation. That is the effort of keeping precepts. A person who observes precepts is not someone who is perfect immediately, but they are someone who knows where they are heading. If they make a mistake, they know how to repent, how to stand up, how to start over. Observing precepts is not for pride, but to return to living more rightly each day. When the precepts are firmly kept, the mind will gradually become less scattered. And when the mind is less scattered, we move on to the second part, which is concentration. Concentration can be simply understood as the focus, the abiding, the steadiness of the mind. Normally, our mind is easily pulled away. Sometimes it runs after the past, sometimes it worries about the future. Sometimes it clings to praise and criticism, gain and loss. Sometimes it stirs up desire, sadness, anger, anxiety, fear. Such a mind has no strength. It is like a lamp continuously blown by the wind. Its light cannot remain steady. To have a powerful mind, one needs to train the mind to know how to stop, to listen, to abide. Concentration does not mean making the mind empty or rigid. Concentration helps the mind be less scattered, less distracted, less controlled by external circumstances. A person with concentration is someone who has better control over their own mind. There are many ways to practice concentration. In Buddhism, a very familiar method is to observe the breath. When breathing in, know that you are breathing in. When breathing out, know that you are breathing out. It sounds simple, but it is not easy to do. Because just sitting still for a moment, the mind has already run elsewhere. At that moment, you realize that your mind has not been easy to tame all along. But don't be discouraged because of that. Practice is a process. Today, the mind runs away 10 times, you bring it back 10 times. Tomorrow, it runs away 9 times, you bring it back 9 times. Persisting like this, gradually the mind will run less. The important thing is not to be angry with yourself, not to be impatient, and also not to give up. Besides sitting still, concentration is also nurtured in daily life. When eating, know that you are eating. When walking, know that you are walking. When speaking, know that you are speaking. When someone makes you uncomfortable, know that you are uncomfortable. That awareness is very important. It prevents you from being swept away immediately by reactions. A person without concentration lives by habit. When encountering something pleasing, they become overly happy. When encountering something displeasing, they become immediately sad or angry. A person with concentration does not mean they have no emotions, but that they are not immediately pulled away by emotions. Thanks to that, they have a moment of silence to see, to understand, to choose a better way to respond. When concentration gradually arises, wisdom then has the opportunity to develop. This is a very important point. Wisdom in Buddhism is not just knowledge. It is not enough to study many scriptures. Knowledge can help us understand the teachings, but wisdom is the direct and correct insight into the nature of life. What does wisdom help us see? It helps us see that everything is impermanent. It helps us see that what we cling to is not as solid and lasting as we think. It helps us see that suffering arises from craving, attachment, and ignorance. It helps us see that this body and mind are also processes in motion, with no fixed self to hold on to, as we often mistakenly believe. These things may sound philosophical, but they are actually very practical. For example, When we are angry at someone, without wisdom, we see the anger as justified, necessary to hold on to, and having a legitimate reason. But with wisdom, we see the anger is arising, it is not stable. If we nurture it, we will suffer. If we identify with it as ourselves, we will be controlled by it. Or when we encounter something we like, we often want to hold on to it forever. But with wisdom, we know everything changes. If we cling too tightly to something, when it changes, we will suffer. Wisdom does not make us indifferent to life. On the contrary, wisdom helps us live more deeply, but without excessive attachment. It can be said that morality makes life less mistaken, concentration makes the mind less scattered, and wisdom makes perception less diluted. When delusion decreases, suffering also decreases. These three parts are closely connected. One cannot say that I only need wisdom without morality, because if the mind is still unstable and life is full of mistakes, wisdom is difficult to arise in its true sense. Nor can one say that I only need concentration without wisdom, because if the mind is calm but lacks correct insight, liberation cannot be achieved. And if one only maintains external morality without cultivating concentration or opening wisdom, the practice is still incomplete. Therefore, morality, concentration, wisdom is a complete path. A Buddhist practitioner needs to take it step by step. There is no need to rush, but no step should be taken lightly. In today's life, people face many pressures: work, family, social networks, overwhelming information, competition, worries about the future. Many things keep the mind tense and scattered. Therefore, morality, concentration, wisdom is even more necessary. Keeping morality helps prevent oneself from sliding into a reckless lifestyle. Concentration helps reduce being swept away by external chaos. Wisdom helps see things more clearly, lightly, and correctly. Thanks to that, one lives in the world without being overly immersed in it. A practitioner is not someone who runs away from life. A practitioner is someone who knows how to turn inward to train oneself so as to live better in the world. With morality, one is more trustworthy. With concentration, one is steadier. With wisdom, one is clearer. These three things make a person mature in ethics, inner self, and intellect. Therefore, if you want to start the path of practice, do not look for something too far away. Start by maintaining daily life. Speak more truthfully, hurt others less, live more mindfully. Take time to sit quietly, observe the breath, and look back at your mind. Practice seeing clearly what is happening in the body and mind, instead of reacting out of habit. If you can do this, step by step, then morality, concentration, wisdom will no longer be distant concepts, but will become a very concrete path of practice in everyday life.